Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Ricky Green, your host here for Tide Talk Sports. And on this evening's National Signing Day recap edition of Tide Talk, we're going to take a look at a few of the top prospects from the 2021 recruiting class for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll talk about a couple of guys on offense, a couple of guys on defense, and then we'll take a few minutes and discuss how the most recent additions to the Alabama Crimson Tide coaching staff had a major impact on Alabama being able to wrap up this class of 2021 today on National Signing Day the way that they wanted to. Not going to keep rambling on. We'll get straight in to this NSD 21 recap edition of Tide Talk right now. All right, I want to start this episode of Tide Talk off just a little bit different than we typically do. Most of the time, I'll ask you for a Y or a N. Y for yes, N for no type deal in the comment section. But tonight, I want to ask you to get down in that comment section and let me know who you believe from this 2021 recruiting class will make an impact the earliest at the University of Alabama. Let me know who you think will come in, put their head down, and make an instant impact for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Can't wait to see what you all think about that, and I will post that topic down in the comment section. All right, got that out of the way here, moving right along. We want to talk a little bit first tonight about the events of today, the close of this Alabama recruiting class, the greatest recruiting class of all time by Rivals.com. According to the 247 Sports Composite, it is the #1 recruiting class of all time. So let's talk a little bit about what transpired today that allowed Alabama to wrap up an incredible class and finish things the way that they wanted to. First and foremost, we all found out early this morning that five-star running back Camar Wheaton stuck with his pledge to the University of Alabama and signed his national letter of intent for Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Talked about it a little bit earlier today, had some audio issues going on, so we're back to where we need to be and all clear for you this evening. But again, Camar Wheaton, really, Oklahoma and DeMarco Murray made an incredible effort coming after Camar Wheaton and trying to flip one of the best running backs in the state of Texas to the Oklahoma Sooners. But Robert Gillespie, Alabama's newest addition, well, prior to Jay Graham being added, our new running back coach, either way, came right in and immediately recognized that the most important thing he needed to do immediately was close the deal with Camar Wheaton, the five-star running back that some have compared to Dalvin Cook. Is most definitely an impressive specimen and somebody that I can't wait to take a look at once they get to the capstone. No doubt about that. But that new running back coach at Alabama, Coach Robert Gillespie, was instrumental the past 5, 6, 7 days. We talked about it a week ago here on the channel in wrapping up and delivering the signature of one of the top running backs in the country in Camar Wheaton. Kind of went through the day, Bama fans did, riding that momentum from the commitment of Camar Wheaton, the signature, I should say, on that national letter of intent. And we rode that through the day to the Terrion Arnold commitment. Now, you know, we've been talking about Terrion Arnold here on our channel for a very long time, and we have said for several months that we predicted Terrion Arnold to Alabama, while others were changing their prediction, talking about, oh, it's Georgia or it may be Florida. We stayed with our information, and we felt good about the effort that Nick Saban, Charles Kelly, and the staff at Alabama had made in the recruitment of Terrion Arnold. And that's not even talking about the effort that was also made by Nate Oates, Brian Hogston, and the guys over on the Alabama basketball coaching staff. So the recruitment of Terrion Arnold, I felt good about it really throughout the recruitment. Now, Terrion was tight-lipped. He didn't really talk a lot. And I just kind of had a feeling about this one, I guess, that he would wind up ultimately choosing to roll with the Tide. And that's exactly what he did. And we'll talk about Terrion here for another minute. But before we do that, if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, I don't know what you're doing. It's National Signing Day, and I want you to commit to becoming a member of the Tide Talk Sports family right now. Join the family today and hit that subscribe button for me. I surely would appreciate it, just as sure as the tide will roll. All right, moving right along back into Terrion Arnold here on our National Signing Day 2021 recap edition of Tide Talk on YouTube. All right, Terrion Arnold is, of course, rated by most recruiting services as a safety, but he's a guy that I believe, and I was talking to Stacy Blackwell of Tide Talk Sports, a good friend of ours, this morning, and me and Stacy were talking about this particular recruitment, and Stacy shared with me that he had kind of heard that, at least initially for Arnold at Bama, Alabama, Nick Saban, and the staff was going to let Terrion Arnold start out on the boundary as a corner. And I think that was big if that is true in this recruitment. I think that Terrion Arnold could be a very good safety, but I believe, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, he is the most athletic defensive back prospect in the nation. And I think that he checks all the boxes for critical factors of a defensive back, a cornerback to be more specific, under Nick Saban. Nick Saban looks for things like length, ball skills, great hips, speed, a certain height and weight in a cornerback. And Terrion Arnold athletically and physically checks all those boxes for me. And I believe if given the opportunity to start out on the boundary at Alabama, he should excel there and could potentially be an All-American type guy in the defensive backfield quickly for Alabama. He is just that athletic, no doubt. All right, before we wrap up this episode of Tide Talk, I want to take just a minute and talk to you about what we're doing over at TideTalkSports.com. We are completely overhauling the website. We believe that our fans and our subscribers are some of the best on planet Earth, and Tide Talk Sports wants to give you the best that we can. So we're upgrading that website. We never charge you a subscription fee for premium coverage of all things Crimson Tide. And we're upgrading the site, installing a new user forum, and other huge benefits that we're super excited to soon be able to offer to you, our subscribers and our followers. Can't wait to get you guys over to the new site when it goes live. And I really think it's something that you'll all be excited about. Got some big things cooking for our YouTube channel here as well. Thinking about doing some live stuff really soon, potentially even maybe a call-in type scenario. We'll talk about that a little more here coming up, but just wanted to mention that to you all here before we started to wrap up this evening of Tide Talk, this episode, our National Signing Day 2021 episode of Tide Talk, and let you all know that we've got big things coming for you, and we appreciate each and every one of you. All right, last thing we're going to get into tonight before we wrap this thing up is these new additions to the Crimson Tide coaching staff that were immediately put to the test and immediately answered the call. A couple of top shelf, absolutely elite recruiters, one in Robert Gillespie, the new running back coach, and the other, of course, being Jay Graham, our new special teams coordinator that Nick Saban hired from the University of Tennessee. Both guys, like I said, and have been saying for days here, elite recruiters. And Coach Gillespie in particular really flexed a little recruiting muscle immediately when he was officially announced as the next running back coach at Alabama, and maybe even a little bit before that. That's neither here nor there, but he came straight in, went to work on Camar Wheaton, and got the job done. Nick Saban and his two former NFL head coaches, two young upcoming great position coaches and incredible recruiters, and Carl Scott, the rest of that staff that has been there, looks to really be meshing well so far, and it looks like yet again Nick Saban, the chess master, has assembled a staff that can both coach and recruit at an elite level. And I can't wait to see what they've got in store for Alabama fans for the 2022 class, which now becomes the focus for the coaching staff of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm Ricky Green for Tide Talk Sports on the Alabama Football News and Rumors channel on YouTube, presented by Chat Sports. We'll see you next time. Roll Tide.